You are somewhere above the clouds right now, looking down at a world that felt enormous just a few hours ago. The traffic that used to frustrate you is a silent thread of light, too small to bother you from here. The building where you spent years of your life is a shape you can no longer even find. The problem that kept you awake last week has shrunk down to something you cannot even locate from this altitude. Nothing about the ground changed. You did. Your vantage point changed. And suddenly everything down there looks different than it did when you were standing in the middle of it. I want you to remember this feeling, because it is not just true at 30,000 feet. It is true every time you gain enough distance from a problem to actually see it clearly. Down there, in the middle of your ordinary life, everything feels urgent. Every conflict feels permanent. Every mistake feels like it defines you completely. That is not because those things are actually as large as they feel. It is because you are standing too close to measure them accurately. Perspective is not something you gain by thinking harder about a problem while standing directly inside of it. Perspective is something you gain by rising above it, even for a moment, long enough to see its actual size. That is part of why I sometimes lift you, even when you did not ask to be lifted. Not always, literally, onto a plane, above literal clouds. But spiritually, emotionally, I place you above a situation just long enough for you to notice what you could not see while you were standing inside it. The Matrix wants to keep you close to the ground at all times. It wants every frustration to feel enormous, every setback to feel permanent, every argument to feel like the most important thing happening in the world right now. Because a person who never gains altitude never gains perspective, and a person without perspective is far easier to keep anxious, reactive, and small. I am asking you to rise, even briefly, above whatever has felt too large to manage lately. Not to escape it forever. You still have to land eventually, back into your actual life, back into the responsibilities and relationships waiting for you there. But rising, even temporarily, changes how you see everything once you return to it. Think about how quiet it becomes at this altitude. The noise you left on the ground simply cannot follow you up here. The urgency of every notification, every deadline, every small emergency that felt unbearable an hour ago, none of it can reach you the same way, while you are suspended above it, moving toward somewhere new. That silence is not empty. It is where I speak most clearly to you, not because I am absent from the noise down below, but because you finally have room to actually hear me. Once the noise quiets down enough to notice, I want you to carry that quiet back down with you when you land. Not literally staying suspended above your life forever, avoiding the responsibilities that come with actually living it, but carrying the perspective you gained up here into the moments down there that will try to convince you they are as large and urgent as they always feel from ground level. The next time something feels unbearably huge, I want you to remember this view. Remember how small the thing that kept you awake looked once you gained enough distance from it. Remember that the size of a problem often has less to do with the problem itself and more to do with how close you are standing to it while you try to measure it. You are not the same person who boarded this flight, not because anything dramatic happened during it, but because you gained something quieter and more lasting than drama. You gained distance. You gained a view of your own life that you could not have accessed while standing directly inside of it. I want you to remember, too, that this altitude is not permanent, and it was never meant to be. You are meant to land, to return to the ground, to re-enter the responsibilities and relationships that make up your actual life. But you do not have to re-enter them the same way you left them. You can bring this perspective back down with you. The size of your problems has not actually changed while you were up here, but your relationship to them has. And that shift, small as it may seem right now, is often the difference between carrying something as a crushing weight and carrying it as simply one part of a much larger, much more manageable life. I gave you this altitude, however you arrived at it, so you could remember what your life actually looks like from far enough away to see it clearly. Do not let it fade the moment you land. Carry the view with you. Let it change how you walk back into your ordinary life, even after the flight is over and the ground rises back up to meet you. Everything looked different up here. Let it stay different, even once you are standing back on solid ground. Until the next one, awakened choosers.